Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to another episode of the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast. Today, I have a very interesting guest that I'm very excited to talk to, get to learn from, and connect with. And before I introduce him to you, though, I just want to give a big shout out to all of you who have been leaving comments, reviews, likes on all the major podcasting platforms, Apple, Google, Spotify, and to those who have been watching on YouTube as well. Thank you very much. And I want to ask you for a small favor. I want to ask you that if you get something out of this interview, if you get some type of value, a feeling, information, or the inspiration to go out and take action and make some progress towards your goals, I want to ask you to please share this with one friend, since this is how we grow, this is how we share a message, and this is how we're able to motivate and inspire and bless other entrepreneurs to change their lives and create amazing things. So today I have William Branum, and he's the founder and CEO of Naked Warrior Recovery. It's a CBD company focused on the recovery of veterans and first responders. He's a retired Navy SEAL with 26 years of service. Thank you for your service, man. 26 years of service. He has served on both traditional SEAL teams, taught as SEAL sniper instructor, and served on teams that specialized in undersea operations, whose missions must be approved by the President of the United States. He led major combat operations, ranging from protecting the interim Iraq elected officials to direct action missions in Baghdad. I think that's how you say it, across Amber Providence. And like many other people who do that kind of stuff, he had PTSD, right? Migraines, severe anxiety, chronic pains, and all of that. And he found CBD, and it changed his life. And now, he started his own CBD company with like the top of the shelf products. And he also teaches the Get Naked mindset, which I'm excited to dive deep into. And William, thank you very much for being here, man. I really appreciate your time, and thank you for being here. You're welcome.
Thanks for having me. Thank you for the invite. That was quite the intro. I feel like I need to update my bio there a little bit. It's very long and wordy, and I'm doing some other stuff now too. So definitely need to update that. But for sure, thanks for having me on here.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad that served as some feedback, man. Awesome. So, man, the first thing that I do with my guests is I ask them to walk us through their entrepreneurial journey in 75 seconds or less.
Oh, that's tough. Okay. So I got out of the military. I thought I had a plan. I did okay. I fell on my face. I was struggling, drinking myself to sleep at night because of all the baggage. I call it baggage that I had in my head, all the noise I had in my head. CBD helped turn the noise down. It positively impacted my life. And there's a much longer story here than that. But I met someone in the CBD industry, and I said, I want to be part of the CBD industry. And she said, well, why don't you start your own CBD company? And I said, I don't know how to do that. And she said, you're a Navy SEAL. You can figure it out. And so I was like, man, please have my man card back. She gave me my man card back, and she helped, educate me about the industry. And so I found the industry was extremely dirty. And so I wanted to provide the highest quality products on the market. We also have another mission. So everyone air quotes here has a high quality CBD or premium quality CBD. I don't think that's actually true, but I had to figure out what my new mission was. And my new mission was 22-0, because 22 veterans take their lives every single day. We've lost more veterans to suicide than we have in 20 years of sustained combat in 2 theaters of war. So that's our mission at Naked Warrior Recovery. But on this entrepreneurial journey, I didn't know how to market. And social media doesn't allow me to market CBD because it's an illicit substance. So as I've gone through this process, one of my business coaches told me, why don't you get on podcasts? And so I just made that my new marketing framework is I've been on over 180 podcasts in the last 12 months. So anytime someone says, would you like to come on my show? The answer is yes, before they finish their email to me. And so that's how I've have gone down this road of entrepreneurship and marketing and things like that. But as I've done it, I've started to pivot, and I've started to offer the Get Naked mindset. And that's actually turned into speaking engagements and professional coaching events. So that's my 75 seconds or less ish. I may have gone over of entrepreneurship.
That's amazing, man. Speaking and coaching. So you pivoted there. Awesome. And man, so have you thought about starting your own podcast?
I don't have the bandwidth to do it right now. I'm focusing more on finding clients, coaching clients, and speaking events. But I have been, asked a few times, "Hey, have you thought about starting your own podcast?" It's on the high on the maybe list.
Yeah. And when you say the bandwidth, it's like time. You got a lot going on.
Yeah, it's just time of the day.
Okay, awesome. So you speak, you coach now. Yeah, would love to get you to speak on. We were talking about this before clicking record, and I would love to get you to come and speak at my events. I'm going to be throwing my first event next year. I still don't know how. I know what I want, right? I don't know how, but the how is going to come by its own, man. I believe that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well, man. So man, talk to me about what does get naked? What's the get naked mindset? What is that?
So naked is initially it was really about, so in the SEAL teams, a little bit of history. If you've ever seen the movie Saving Private Ryan, where that initial assault on Normandy, before those guys went ashore, the Navy brought in all these guys that knew about demolitions and they could swim. And so these guys actually took off from the big ships that were floating out in the water in these little rubber boats. And then when they got close to shore, they swam ashore and they did reconnaissance of the entire beach, the land and also in the water, to see if there were obstacles in the water. And they created the battle plans for the assault on Normandy, that Saving Private Ryan moment. And then hours before the assault, they went back in, they put demolition charges on all the obstacles on the beach. And then as the assault force is coming in, explosions are going off. They're taking fire from the enemy on the beach, and they cleared lanes for the assault. Then if you fast forward into later on in World War II, the island campaign in the Pacific, the Marines were going ashore and taking these islands back over from the Japanese, and they would hit these barrier reefs, and they would run off the edge of these reefs thinking they were in 3 feet of water, and there's 30 feet of water on the other side, and they would run off the end and drown. So they brought these guys back into these Navy guys that were good at demolitions and swimming to do reconnaissance of the water and of the beach. And so they would blow holes in the reefs so that the assault force could go ashore. And these guys went into combat basically wearing swim trunks, a necklace around their neck where they took notes on, a K-bar knife, and some fins and a mask. And they were known as the Naked Warrior. And so the predecessor to today's Navy SEAL was the Naked Warrior. These guys would go into combat basically naked. In Vietnam is when JFK turned these underwater demolition team Naked Warriors into U.S. Navy SEALs. So the Naked Warrior was the kind of a hat tip to my predecessors and a little bit about my history. But it was also about, as I was trying to figure out what I was doing with my life after the military, because when I left the military, I felt like I lost everything. I felt like I lost my mission, my purpose, and my team. And the analogy that I use recently is, if you've ever seen the movie The Avengers, where Thanos makes half the world's population vanish, that's kind of what I felt like when I left the military. It was like, boom, where's my mission, my purpose, and my team? I don't have that anymore. I had all this noise in my head, what I call baggage. I don't call it PTSD, I call it baggage. We all have baggage. We all have issues. Some of it is from occupational stuff. Some of it is from family history. Some of it is just trauma in our life. Whatever it is, we've all got baggage and we all carry it around. We never take it off. Some of it's just ego that we're carrying around because we feel like we're under attack all the time. And so in the SEAL teams, when we go into harm's way, we put our body armor on and our helmet, and then we go into harm's way and we do the things. And sometimes it's really good that we had it on, and other times it didn't really matter. But either way, we come back, finish the mission, we take our armor off, we hang it up, we go hit the showers, we rest, we recover, we get ready for the next mission. We don't do that in life. In life, we end up leaving that armor on. Maybe we're attacked, and I'm using air quotes here, by a coworker or a family member or something that happened, or media. We're bombarded by negativity all the time. And so we feel like we're under attack and like the world is against us. And so what getting naked is all about, it's about taking that ego off, taking that baggage that you've just been carrying around for no reason. We talked about your story before the show, taking that baggage off, the circumstances of your life, taking that off, setting it in the corner, and exposing yourself and being vulnerable for some emotional healing and maybe even physical healing that you actually need in order to be a productive, like to be the most awesome version of yourself. And so that's what Naked started off as. And as I moved forward and thank you. And as I moved further down the line of like, in really, going back to the marketing and that side of it, CBD was a modality that helped positively impact my life. And so after I got control of these negative self-talk that I had going on in my head, all these negative voices that I used alcohol to suppress, very similar to your story, your father's story and things like that. I got out and I just had all this negativity and I drank myself to sleep at night. And if you want to phrase it differently, I would drink until I passed out, depending how you want to look at it. And so CBD helped turn down that noise. So I didn't have to depend on the alcohol to dull the noise that was in my head so that I could have more positive self-talk. And as I'm like figuring my own stuff out, I thought about my time in the SEAL teams and I distilled basically my 26 years of training and learning and experience into what I call 5 SEAL secrets. And those 5 SEAL secrets is the acronym NAKED. And so NAKED, the N stands for never quit. And I don't mean never quit smoking or drinking or being in a toxic relationship. I mean, never quit on yourself, never quit on who you are, never quit trying to improve the person you are. If you've made a conscious effort to start something, a project, a program, or whatever it is, you take it all the way to the end. And there's some tools that I teach in here on creating small victories. Basically, you take this big thing that you're trying to accomplish. You, for example, you want to have a great in-person event. It's a big undertaking. It seems overwhelming at times. So what you do is you figure out what you need to do and how you're going to get there. And you break that up into small bite-sized pieces and you attack one piece every single day. I call those small victories. Small victories are something that I learned when I was a prisoner of war in school. And as a prisoner of war, they put you in the most uncomfortable scenario where you have zero control of anything around you. You don't eat, you don't sleep, you don't anything. And every time that you battle, either let's just say that the prisoner handlers are the jailers say, don't look left. Every opportunity you get when you walk through that courtyard, you look left. Or if they say, don't communicate with other prisoners, you tap on the prison walls that you're in and you try to make those communications. You tell little white lies when they're trying to interrogate you. So every time that you create a small victory, you create control in the life when you feel out of control. Another example of a small victory is in Hell Week of SEAL training is 5.5 days of you're cold, you're wet, you're miserable. That's what many people. So in SEAL training, you lose. This is week number 5 of 26. You lose about 70% of the people before Hell Week. In Hell Week, you lose 70% of whoever's left. And then the rest of those people, most of them, 90% of them graduate. You still lose another 10% along the way. But one thing is constant during Hell Week. They feed you 4 times a day. So it doesn't matter how much it sucks, how miserable it is, how badly you're jackhammering there in the Pacific Ocean, or you don't want to put the boat back on your head. All you have to do is make it to the next meal. And every time you make it to the next meal, that's a small victory. And that's one step closer to completion. So the N stands for never quit. The A is accept failure. Failure has been the biggest teacher of my life. It's the biggest, as long as you learn from the failures that you have, it wasn't a failure. It was a learning moment. But many people, they fail and they're like, I'm going to quit doing that. I started a business. I didn't succeed. I didn't make $1 million the first year, so I'm going to quit. Look at history. Look at the people that have accepted failure along the way. Michael Jordan, arguably the best basketball player of all time. He was cut. I think he was cut in college. He didn't make the college team or something like that. He's missed more than 9,000 shots in his basketball career. He's lost more than 300 games. He's missed more than 30 game-winning shots. And what did he do after every game? He went and partied with the team. That's not true. He actually went back to the gym that night and practiced every shot that he missed in every scenario until he didn't miss anymore. He went out and got a coach so that he could be better. Steve Jobs and Elon Musk, both icons of the tech world, both fired as CEOs of companies that they started. Thomas Edison, he discovered more than 10,000 ways to not create the incandescent light bulb. How many times have we tried something and failed 10 times and quit?
One, man, once.
Right. Not 10, not, yeah, we tried it once and we fail and we quit. Not 10, not 100, not 1,000, not 10,000 for sure. Accept those failures, learn the lessons from those failures, and use those as a foundation to build your success on. The K is to kill mediocrity, because you know what? In life, we're surrounded by mediocrity. Mediocrity controls us. Technology is awesome, but it also makes us mediocre. It gives us excuses to not do things, to not attack our goals for today. I was living in a life of mediocrity. It's super easy to fall into. But when you find yourself stuck in that mediocre mindset where I don't really want to attack the goals, do the things that I need to do, attack my to-do list, go work out, whatever it is, I tell people to compete. And when I say compete, I mean, start simple. Compete in something like kindness, compete in generosity, compete in gratitude. And once you start getting really good at competing at those things, start competing against your ego, because your ego knows exactly what to tell you to make you mediocre. It knows all the things that the good things about you and all the bad things about you. And it's going to drive you to take the path of least resistance. And if you can compete and win that war against your mediocre self, nothing can stop you. The E is expose your fears. And when I talk about expose your fears, I'm not talking about lions and tigers and bears or spiders or snakes or anything like that. I don't like those guys either. I'm not a fan of sharks either, but I still go surfing. I live in Hawaii. But nice. I'm talking about the fears, those noises in the back of your head that you keep buried, that you don't want to tell anyone about, you don't want to share, you're ashamed of for whatever reason. What you have to do is you have to expose those fears. I look at those fears to be like a vampire, because a vampire lives in the darkness and it sucks the life out of you. Those fears do exactly the same thing. Those fears live in that dark part of your brain that you don't want to share with anyone, you don't want to tell anyone about, and they're sucking the life out of you because you're alone in your car and you start having an argument with yourself. Those fears come out and they start consuming you. They don't let you go to sleep at night. They wake you up late at night. So what you have to do is you have to expose those fears. Lots of ways to do that. Maybe you have a fear of public speaking. Take an acting class, take a public speaking class, start a podcast. Start public speaking, start speaking in front of people. You're going to find out very quickly that the people that you're speaking to want you to succeed. They don't have the same fear that you do. Expose your fear. Do something that scares you. Maybe you have low self-esteem. Take a Brazilian jiu-jitsu class. You were bullied as a kid. You're going to learn a skill that's going to help you defend yourself in the event that anyone tries to mess with you. You're going to build your self-confidence, and you're going to make the people around you better. There's also talk therapy. Lots of people like to talk to a therapist, and people get paid a lot of money for that. But one of the ones that I like the best is a business coach of mine and a friend. He says that fear does not exist on paper. And so this guy is very successful. He's in the billionaire category. And, he'll be driving along and he'll have all these stresses and anxieties swirling around in his head. And he'll pull over to a Starbucks. He'll go order a cup of coffee, sit down with a pencil or a pen and a piece of paper. And he'll write down everything that is bothering him, every little thing. And then he'll read it. And he'll just be like, really? Those are the things that are bothering me right now, the things that are giving me so much stress. And so what you've done is you've exposed those fears. And once you expose those fears, you will control the fears, and the fears will no longer control you. And so that was never quit, accept failure, kill mediocrity, expose your fears, and the D is do the work. Because you know what? In today's world of social media and instant gratification, we've forgotten what it's like to do the work. We've forgotten what it's like to get out there and put forth effort. There's this saying that Rome wasn't built in a day. I guarantee you it was built every single day until it became an empire. So there's a saying in the SEAL teams, earn your trident every day. When I graduated SEAL training, I did not have that mentality. I thought I graduated the hardest military training in the world. What I learned very quickly when I got to the SEAL teams is that no one cares that you graduated the hardest military training in the world. Every one of those guys have done it. You know what they want you to do? They want you to perform better today than you did yesterday. They don't care your age, your rank, how long you've been in the teams. They do not care. They hold you accountable. That's why they say the only easy day was yesterday. So that's really what the get naked mindset is all about. It's about taking your ego off and setting it in the corner. Then it's about never quitting, accepting failure, killing mediocrity, exposing your fears, and doing the work, and doing it every single day.
That was powerful, man. That was powerful. And and I want to dive a little bit deeper into like taking off the baggage and like turning down the noise and like working with your ego. Is that something that you do with your coaching clients?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
a lot of times it's pulling that out. Like you have to build a trust, and then from there, you know, what is really bothering you, but until you build that trust, and for people who aren't hiring me, if you just start trying to figure it out, maybe you just need to find someone that you trust, or you write that stuff down and then you share it with someone you trust. This is what's bothering me, and then you work it out, you talk it out maybe. But that's, you know, that is some of what it is. And I find that a lot of people are stuck in that. I was stuck in it for a super long time. It wasn't until I started exposing my own fear, I was like, oh, that actually works. And now I, you know, hopefully can extract it from other people. I have fear of this or that. Okay. Sometimes a fear of failure or fear of success. I find myself falling into that trap sometimes. What the hell is that? Fear of success. It's so weird. If I do this thing, I might be successful and I might make more money. Why aren't you doing it already? What if I succeed? Then what?
Yeah.
Because it's simple. It's something you said earlier, and I say it often. In the military, especially in the entrepreneurial world, in the military, everything is simple. It's not easy. SEAL training it's simple. You just have to do what they tell you to do and not quit. In this world that I'm in right now, this entrepreneurial world that you're in right now, it's not simple. There's no clear path. There's no one telling me what to do and how to do it. I have to figure it out along the way. There are some, I call them treasure maps out there with the dotted line, and there's an X here. You got to find that dotted line. Well, maybe it was written a long time ago and there's some pieces missing from there. Or maybe that dotted line leads to a dead end and you have to find like a new map. So it's simple, but it's not easy sometimes.
Yeah. And then online, like you can, there's literally like a million things that you can go down, you know, down the path, and you can get lost really quick, right? If you don't have some guidance, or
if you don't have like a plan, a guiding light that's going to get you
discernment and focus and the discipline, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I just love this topic, man, about like taking your baggage off, because I was in the car the other day with my mother, and she was just like on the phone, driving, talking, like moving, and like she didn't stay still, and I was just like that. I'm just enjoying, right? And then noticing that my mom didn't even knew that I was there. Like I don't spend too much time with my mom, you know, I'm doing my own stuff and stuff. But when I go and visit her, well, I went and visit her. We were driving to some place, and she didn't even. It was like she didn't even notice that I was there. Like she wasn't there with me. I was there, and she wasn't there with me. And then I was like, "Mom, what's going on?" And she's like, "Oh, it's because I couldn't sleep. I have all these things going on in my head, and then I can't sleep because, well, my mind is racing at 1,000 miles per hour. And then what about you? Do you also have a lot of stuff going on in your mind?" And I'm like, "No," because my mind is still, man. And it's so refreshing, because and then that's when I realized, holy shit, a lot of people suffer from that. A lot of people suffer from like a mind that races. And then the other day I came across the quote. I don't know who said it, but it was something like this: "To a mind that is still, the whole universe surrenders." And I feel like my mind is still, and I feel like I feel good. And I think that the reason I'm able to have a mind that is still is because I've worked through all the baggage, and I've worked through all the noise, and I've done, you know, like the work, and I've exposed my fears. I've literally told my story, the story that I told you about myself here on this podcast. And I've literally told things on this podcast that are so like shameful, right? Like they would be so scary for other people to say about themselves. And like I've just exposed them. And there's a saying that I also like that goes something like this: "The most powerful man in the room is the man that has nothing to hide." Right? And the reason that he has nothing to hide is because he already put it all out there. And if he put it all out there and he's able to own it, like no one can, you know, like no one can hurt him with that stuff that he put out there, because he was the one that put it out there in the first place.
They can only tell lies at this point to try and hurt them. Yeah.
Hey, sorry for the interruption. Real quick, do you want to know how I've been using my podcast to build a multi-million-dollar network with over 100 7, 8, and 9-figure entrepreneurs? reach hundreds of my ideal clients with my message, coaching, service, and podcast, get invited to speak on 4 stages in the last 2 months alone, throw my own events, and have over 100 successful entrepreneurs being willing to speak at my events, become a millionaire in 1 year, get mentored by multimillionaires, and achieve goals that I thought were going to take me 10 years to achieve in 1 year, and ultimately get unstuck and make quantum leaps of progress in my business and life with less than 1 hour of work just by being myself. If you answered yes to any of those, I just want to invite you to a free training showing you how I've been able to build a multi-million-dollar network that is helping me achieve bigger income goals faster with only 1 hour of speaking and just being myself. To be honest, I thought I was going to be a multi-millionaire, speak on stages, throw my own events, and live a successful, happy, and fulfilled life of growth and impact in 10 years from now. That seemed so far away, but my podcast has been able to help me do that in less than 6 months. I'm actually doing all of that this year at the age of 21 with my podcast. I'm reaching thousands of people with my message, my service, my podcast, my coaching. I've gotten booked to speak on 4 stages in the last 2 months. And on these stages, I'm going to be getting in front of hundreds of my ideal clients, making roughly around 15 to 30K plus per event. Not only that, I have a network of over 100 high-level, multi-million-dollar entrepreneurs who have all agreed to speak at my events. Getting clients is a problem of the past. I've gotten the opportunities to learn from billionaires, and I'm collapsing decades of time, and I'm literally achieving what I thought was going to take me 10 years to achieve in 1 year. All of this because I use podcasting as a networking tool, and I leveraged a rare concept called the cloak track. And I want the exact same thing for you. Just imagine where you could be in 1 year from now if you get this free training right now. That is why I'm inviting you to this training. On this short training, you're going to learn how a small group of purpose-driven entrepreneurs, authors, coaches, course creators, and speakers have combined podcasting with this rare concept called the cloak track to build a multi-million-dollar network, reach thousands of their ideal clients with their message, books, courses, coaching, make an extra $118,800, get booked on 10 stages, and build a successful network of entrepreneurs who speak on their stage, all of this in under 6 months. I'm going to walk you through the 4 steps to make this work. Step number 1, alignment. Getting clear on who you want to be, what you want to do, your goals, your purpose, and aligning all of this with building your podcast and your ideal podcast guest. Step number 2, leveraging the cloak track to find your ideal podcast guest and never running out of them. Step number 3, leveraging the cloak track to close an interview with anyone, no matter how rich, famous, or out of your league they may seem. And step number 4, the content machine. The content machine is the key to tapping into other people's audiences. And I'm going to show you all of those 4 steps. The link to access this free training is in the description of this video. Click on it and go watch this training right now so that you can learn how you can too build a multi-million-dollar network that helps you achieve bigger goals faster and with less effort. Note, this training is only available to 18 people, so act right now, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. Bye-bye. Yeah.
It's super powerful. And super powerful.
And I'm very passionate about this topic of like taking off your baggage, of like turning down the noise, of like working with your ego, because I feel like it's a work that never ends.
Yeah.
Right. So what other insight can you give on that, man?
On the ego, or on which part? I wrote some notes down here.
Taking off the baggage. So for example, some of the baggage that I had, and I have it here on a whiteboard here. So there's four limiting beliefs, four like core limiting beliefs that everyone has. The first one is not feeling good enough, right? Not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy, feeling fundamentally flawed. And I had to deal with this because since I was a little kid, I didn't feel good enough. I felt fundamentally flawed because like I've always been a little bit different than my family. Like I'm the first one to like go on this entrepreneurial path. I'm the first one to like go to college and stuff. And like I literally started counting my calories since I was like 12 years of age, right? And that was like, it was because I didn't feel good enough. That was driven by a feeling of not feeling good enough, right? And but then when I did it, when I tried to be better, when I tried to be more out of fear, you know, I got judgment, right? I got judgments, and I felt fundamentally flawed. I grew up feeling like I didn't fit in, right? And that was like this is the first core limiting belief. The second core limiting belief is breaking the rules on how things are supposed to be done, right? So, while we were raised, our family sets rules. These rules are either said or they're not said, right? They're like unconscious, but they're there. Like the rules are there. And if you don't follow those rules, then you are being disloyal to the people that raised you and loved you and gave you everything, right? So for example, for me, it was expected that I had to go to college, I had to get a job, I had to then start a family, and I did things in an entirely different way. So therefore, I was breaking the rules. And why would someone that breaks the rules, why would someone that is disloyal to the people that raised them and love them deserve success? Right? And like if you have that limiting belief that like you feel bad because your parents told you that you were supposed to live your life in this certain way, and you're not living your life in this certain way, and you're trying to go in another way, and you're trying really hard to go on another way and be successful, but you can't. It might be because you have this limiting belief holding you back, right? You feel guilty from because you broke the rules. The third core limiting belief, and I had to go through this work, right? And I hired a coach and stuff, but I still have it written down here on my whiteboard because I'm always thinking about it. The third limiting belief is that you're a burden. Like I told you how my mom had me at 15 years of age. She treated me like a burden. I was probably a burden, right? Because I mean, it's understandable. And I was treated like a burden for most of my life. And I grew up unconsciously believing that I was a burden. So when you grow up, now you're all grown up and you're trying to be successful, you're trying to get big, to shine and stuff, and you can't, because you have this unconscious belief that the bigger you get, the bigger of a burden you're going to be, and well, you don't want that, and you hold yourself back, right? And the fourth limiting belief, and and that ties with fear of failure, fear of success, right? That ties with all of that. The fourth one, man, is outshining others, right? So like I grew up. So still, the other day I went back to my grandma's house, and I took my shirt off, and I'm ripped. Like if I take this sweater off, I'm ripped right now, and I've always been like that, right? And I took my shirt off for some reason, and my grandmother started to yell at me, like that I shouldn't do that because I make other people feel bad. And then the other day I was talking about money, right? And then my grandmother yelled at me because she told me that I shouldn't talk about money because other people that are not making the money that I'm making feel bad, right? So like, and this is a pattern that has been going on since I was a little kid, right? Like every time I tried to shine, my shine was like turned off. Like I was stopped. I was suppressed. And you grow up to unconsciously believe that it's bad to shine, right? So you grow up, you're trying to be an entrepreneur, you're trying to shine, and you're trying to be successful and shine your light on the world, but you have this unconscious belief that shining is bad. So therefore you hold yourself back. And like those are the four core limiting beliefs, man, that I've done a lot of work with, to take off the baggage and like quiet the noise. And so like I'm very passionate about this, man, because like this is what the last 3 years of my life have been about, just getting rid of limiting beliefs and completely rewiring my mind.
Yeah, that's 100% it. I mean, that's really what taking your baggage off, taking that ego off, taking that, like I said earlier, some of that baggage that you carry around is what other people put in there for you, and then you end up carrying it. And so what a lot of people have to do is you have to change the people that are in your circle. So when I talk about, I got out of the military, I got out of the SEAL teams, I lost my mission, my purpose, and my team. One of my missions now is to put together, rebuild my SEAL team. In the SEAL teams, I had, as a senior guy, I would hold people accountable. But you know what? The cool thing about being in the SEAL teams, unlike other military forces, is that if I didn't show up to be the best version of myself, then my junior guys would hold me accountable. Why are you fill in the blank? Why are you not here early? Why are you late? Why are you late? Why aren't you keeping up on the run or the whatever? Why is your gear not together like it's supposed to be? Why were you, and I'm like, oh, so having those people, high performers around you, holding you accountable, even if you're in charge, air quotes, that's incredibly powerful. And so for me, I have to build my new SEAL team. And that's what I'm in the process of doing right now. I put myself in front of and around high performers. I make sure that I am the smallest fish in the room, in the biggest pond I can possibly find. If I'm number one, then I'm wrong.
Powerful.
I need to find people who are, now family is one thing, but you take what they have with a grain of salt. Sometimes you just detach what they have to say. It is their insecurities, not yours. And it took me a long time to get to that point. I grew up with some of the same self-limiting beliefs that you have. I became a Navy SEAL. Lots of people said, you'll never do that. You'll never make it, whatever. I did it. I did it for a long time. I was very successful in the things that I've done. I've been told, why are you starting a business? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? You're never gonna, I'm doing all right. I'm getting where I need to go. I'm not where I want to be by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm moving forward because I believe in myself. And I didn't always believe in myself, but now I do. And it's really about taking that ego off, taking that baggage that other people put in there, those self-limiting beliefs or whatever it is, and then run with it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's about getting naked. It's about getting
100%.
naked because
it's always about getting naked.
Man, like we were born winners. Like we were born with a gold medal. Like in the biggest war of humanity, a war that was fought in the dark, uphill, right? 400 million to 1. You were the winner.
But it's you got to go fight that battle every single day.
Yeah.
Every day.
So you're building your SEAL team. That's a really amazing insight, man. Because I'm part of 2 masterminds. So that's how I make sure that I surround myself with high level people that are decades ahead of me in every single area of life. And another way that I've been able to like build my own SEAL team and upgrade my peer group, upgrade the 5 people that I'm surrounding myself with, is with my podcast, man. Like the people that I've been surrounding myself with, like I got clear on who I wanted to be, what type of person do I want to be. I got clear on what type of things that I want to do, be, do, have. All right. So who I want to be, what I want to do, and what I want to have, what type of life do I want to have. I got clear on that. And then the people that I started interviewing on my podcast were people that were the type of person that I wanted to become, people that were doing the type of things that I wanted to do. I've interviewed like 7-figure entrepreneurs, 8-figure entrepreneurs, even some 9-figure entrepreneurs. And then I started interviewing people who had the life that I thought I wanted to have. And 80 some interviews into it, man, I'm not the same person that I was 6 months ago. Like I don't speak the same, I don't act the same, I don't think the same. And every time I get on one of these interviews, with men like you, with high level men, high performers who are ahead of me, I it's like putting a mirror in front of me, and I get to see all the good qualities that I have already, and all the qualities that I have yet to develop, and it's amazing. And like I've learned a lot. My mindset has improved, and like every single part of me, man, has just changed. Like I'm not the same person that I was before I started my podcast.
It's awesome. It's awesome. And we all go through those evolutions. And one of the things that I like to talk about is oftentimes and this really falls into the mediocre category, is we'll achieve something great. And I was certainly guilty of this. I graduated, I became a Navy SEAL. What else is there? Well, there's lots of leadership positions. There's lots of positions that you can do in the SEAL teams, other schools that you have to do. If you go to a school, sniper school, breacher school, jump master school, whatever it is, you're expected to pass that course, not fail it. It's very different from let's say the Army. The Army likes the attrition. They like to kick people out. In the SEAL teams, we have SEALs that are teaching those courses. We want guys to graduate. We want to become the most effective fighting force in the world. The end. We don't want anything other than that. The most effective fighting force in the world. We want to put out the highest quality information. We don't want to kick guys out of these different schools. And when I was a sniper instructor, there were times where I had to send guys out because they didn't meet the minimum standard. And so in life, oftentimes we climb a mountain and we get on top of it and we're like, awesome. And we never run down the backside of that mountain and up the next mountain. Well, guess what? That mountain that you climbed up, as soon as you step on top of it, it starts shrinking away. There's so many more mountains. So what we have to do, we hit that point, that peak, we run back down and we start climbing the next. And we are never okay being on top. We're always looking for the next mountain to climb. And as long as you can think that way and keep moving down those roads, you will be unstoppable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. So talking about, not only are we talking about like Navy CEOs and leadership. So man, what is like, you've been surrounding by a lot of leadership, right? A lot of leadership in the Navy SEALs and in the military and all of that. There's a lot of like leadership they have to go through. So what is the biggest leadership lesson that you've learned so far, like through your 26 years of being in the Navy and now as an entrepreneur and everything that you've been through?
Leadership is about being of service. Once upon a time, many times I've been thrust into leadership positions that I wasn't prepared for. I didn't have the skill set for it. And the positions that I was thrust into that I wasn't prepared for, I became a better leader because I put more effort into that position, into taking care of the guys, into learning what I needed to do, being at the deck plate level. What do I like to call the deck plate level? It's a Navy term, where I'm like in with the guys, I'm doing stuff, hustling with them, doing the grind, and then able to step out and be able to do the up and out piece of it. Because sometimes I didn't know all the things that I needed to know as I took over that position. And then other times that I was thrust into leadership positions and I would just say, go figure it out. But when someone brought to me a problem, I'm so busy over here doing this, you need to go figure that out, rather than stopping what I'm doing and having that one-on-one. You came to me for help. I may not know the answer, but the fact that I shooed you away, I lost credibility in their eyes. I lost their trust. When I stopped what I was doing and said, okay, let's figure this out together. Let's see if we can find someone who knows how to, maybe I can find someone that's not even where we are right now, like, at the headquarters or something that can help us solve this problem. I gain their trust. So leadership is all about trust. It's about taking care of the people who are under you. And it's also about like figuring out where you need to go, but it's never about telling people what to do.
Trust. I like that, man. And it's about serving. I've definitely experienced that. So I recently started to hire, and I have a team of 9 in my business now. So like I'm actually a CEO now, and I don't have to like do everything myself. And I think, I don't know. I feel like I'm doing a good job. If you ask any leader, they'll probably tell you the same thing. But like one of the things that I've intentionally done, because I read a book called The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek, and like all of his books, and he's like a like an expert in leadership. And one of the things that I've been doing is I serve them. I literally act as if I'm serving my team. That's what I do. Like I literally do that, man. And I don't know how to explain it, because like we're all like working towards like the company's goal, which is, my goal. But like I'm helping them achieve their goal. So like when I hired them, I told them something like this. I told them, like, you're going to be my who. You're going to be the who that helps me achieve my goals. But I want to make sure that I'm your who that helps you achieve your goals as well. So
yeah.
So like, I've interviewed a few people, and the people that I hired were people who had goals that I thought and I felt that I could help achieve. Right. So they're not just a part in a cog, like in a machine. They're like working with purpose. So like I give them purpose, right? Because I give them like the purpose of the company, but that I give them their own personal purpose. And I made them, like, the 9 people that are working with me right now, man, didn't even have, like, their goals were small. Right. And now they're like 10 times bigger, because like I help them believe that. So like I'm coaching them and I'm serving them. And like, that's how, like, I'm literally serving them. So yeah, I resonate with that. I don't know how to like articulate it, but like I do resonate with that.
That's awesome. Yeah. Sounds like you're getting after it,
man. And we have a couple of minutes left, man. And I always finish the interviews with 5 questions. So can I go ahead and ask you the first one?
Send it.
This is not the first question, but how old are you, man?
48.
Cool. And how do you feel?
Feel good.
Awesome. Yeah. Cause like I come from a culture in which by the time you're 40, you're done, but you don't seem, anywhere close to being done.
I'm far from done.
Yeah. Cool.
I mean,
awesome.
If you said, if I didn't know my age, and I mostly only know my age because my daughter was born when I was 40, So we're like the same age. She's 8, I'm 8. She's 9, I'm 9. You know, she's 3, I'm 3. That's how I know my age. Outside of that, I would have no idea.
Yeah.
I would say I'm like 31, 2. I don't know, something.
Yeah, it feels weird. Like if I say I'm 21, it feels weird, right? Like it's not about, so like I don't identify myself with my body or my mind or my emotions. Like I'm much more. I'm like, I don't know, I'm something else. And like that doesn't have an age. Pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. So the first question is, what advice would you give your 20-year-old self if you could? Like not because you have regrets or you want to go back and redo things. No, you just give your 20-year-old self some advice. What would that be?
I would say take risks, ask questions. Because when I was 20 years old, I was afraid to look weak or insignificant. So I kept my mouth shut. I would fake it till I made it. What I've learned, the most powerful thing that I've learned is be brave enough to ask for help, ask questions. Because people actually want to help you. When you don't ask someone for help, you actually take the power that they're trying to give you away. Like, how good do you feel when someone asks you for help? You're like, awesome, I can help you. I was terrified to ask for help before. I didn't want to feel small or weak or insignificant.
Be brave enough to be vulnerable.
Be brave enough, yes.
Yeah, and then you were talking about trust right now with leadership, right? One of the ways to like build trust is to, ask for help. Right. And be vulnerable. So cool. Pretty cool. So the second question is around mindset. What is a mindset shift that you've had that you can share with us that you think has contributed to your success? Mindset shift.
Make bold adjustments. And what I mean by that is I figured this lesson out when I was teaching sniper school. And then I went back and I was a sniper in the platoon. And you would think that all Navy SEALs know how to sight their guns in. You would be wrong. They're really good at shooting them, but they're not necessarily good at sighting them in. Some guys are and some guys are not, especially in leadership roles. Their job is to lead, not so much to shoot. But, when we would get like a new gun or whatever, a new group of guys coming together, when we would go to the range and sight our guns in, I would see guys, they would make a couple of adjustments to their optic and they would just start getting frustrated because they're not seeing the results that they should see. They're trying to like dial their impacts into the bullseye. And then I would see this happening and I would go over to them. And this happened. I learned this, I think, in sniper school. And then I learned it more back in the SEAL team. And I would take their gun and I would like just make these bold adjustments to their optic and I would give it back to them. And they were like, what are you doing? You just like probably broke it. I'm like, shut up and shoot. And so they would shoot and their impacts would move across the paper, but very close to the bullseye because they made those bold adjustments. The same thing happens in life. We start making these teeny tiny adjustments that don't mean anything. Sometimes they do. But at some point, you need to make a bold adjustment. And once you make that bold adjustment, then you can course correct on the way back. Sometimes it's to do the opposite of what everyone says is right. Once you make that bold adjustment, that's how innovation happens, doing the opposite, being bold about things. Those are the things that actually impact your life or impact the people around you.
100%.
And make a difference.
And hearing you say, make a bold adjustment, it's scary, right? But it's also, impactful.
Yeah.
So mindset map. So man, can you give any advice to someone who may be looking for more clarity, to have more clarity on what they want, who they are, where they're going, just to have more clarity in their life?
I would say start. It doesn't even matter where you start. Start, make a plan, and start going down a path. Have a plan. And when I say make a plan, I mean, make a plan. What is your 5 W's? Your who, what, where, when, why? Why do you think you want to do that? It may not be where you end, but start there. And start going down, because once you have a plan, then you at least have a guiding light to give you some sort of direction, kind of like that treasure map we talked about earlier. So I call this like 5 SEAL secrets of life transitions. I need to make a sexier name for it, but it's make the plan, then brief the plan, share your plan with other people, have them shoot holes in it. Then you can do it like I call it a dirt dive, where you kind of practice the plan, you walk through it. We do this before we go on missions, where we'll bring the trucks in, we'll put radio comms on and we'll talk through what we're going to do, how we're going to sit in the vehicles, how we're going to stand when we get out of the vehicles, and the order in which we're going to patrol before we how we're going to attack the target when we get there, how we're going to leave the target, where the trucks are going to be, or the helicopters or whatever, and how we're going to get back in them, the order we're going to do it. So we practice those things before we actually go out the door and hit the target. So we call that a dirt dive. Once you're on the mission and you complete that mission or that piece of the mission, you come back and you do an after action review. What went right, what went wrong, and then start over. And those are the missions. You can have a big mission and you can have little missions along the way. Don't be afraid to deviate from the mission, because sometimes you need, like, you get to a point, like it's a fork in the road, this way or that way. Make a decision and go with it. Don't second guess what you're doing. Just keep going down that road until you know that you need to change and divert or pivot into a different direction. But if you never, most people fail because they never take action. Make the plan and execute the plan.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. Mindset map, motion. So what is a habit that you have that you think has contributed to your success? One habit.
Not quitting.
Not quitting. Just following through.
Just keep going. Kind of what I was just talking about. Just keep going. Follow. Yeah, you're going to fail. That's all right. That's part of the process. Keep going.
Never quit, accept failure, kill mediocrity, expose your fears, do the work. The last question, man, is what do you think about measuring and tracking?
I think if you don't measure and track, then you don't know what you're doing. And I don't think I always believed this until, I don't know, a few years ago. I'd never really like lifted weights in my life. And I'm like, I need to get my act together. I'm like in my 40s, 40 something over here. And I just like downloaded a program, made an Excel spreadsheet, and I started tracking. And I saw my, how much I could lift for how many reps. And I saw that go up exponentially because I was tracking. I'm like, how much did I lift last time? How many reps? And so I'm like, okay, let's start with that and then add to it. So I always had a place, a minimum standard, and then anything above that was gravy. So I was always pushing for my next level, looking for that next mountain. If I wasn't tracking it, then I would never have an idea.
So if you're not tracking, you don't know what you're doing. If you do track, you can know what you do. You can keep up progress.
It's having that plan. It's like and monitoring along the way.
You feel motivated, self-accountability. Yeah, very powerful stuff. So, man, I really enjoyed talking to you, man. Really enjoyed connecting with you, learning from you, and getting to just have some fun here for the last hour. And man, if more people want to know more about you, more about the Naked Mindset, more about your coaching, more about your book, more about the CBD brand that you have, where can they go? Where should they find you?
For the Get Naked Mindset, I would go to the number 5 seal, SEAL, secrets.com, 5sealsecrets.com, 5sealsecrets.com. I'm not sure if I said that right. Put your name and email in there. I'll email you a copy of it's a PDF. It basically lays out the whole thing that I just talked about with the Naked acronym, how you can employ it into your life. So that's number 1. If you're interested in CBD, if you are interested in coaching or speaking or anything else, that email that you're going to get with those 5 SEAL secrets, that comes from me. That's from my email address. You can just reply to that and say, hey, I would like to talk about coaching or speaking or anything like that. So that's step number 1. If you are interested in CBD, then the website is NW for Naked Warrior -recovery.com, or you can type in Naked Warrior Recovery, all one word, to get there. I changed it from Naked Warrior Recovery to NW-Recovery because I didn't know if people wanted to write naked into the search engine. Not sure why. It was just something that popped into my head. And but you can type in Naked Warrior Recovery and you'll get there for the CBD products. And let's give your listeners a 20% discount code. So for your listeners, and I will create this as soon as we hang up, let's just say SHF20 to save 20% on any CBD products.
Awesome, man. Thank you for that, man. I really appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
And thank you very much, man. I really enjoyed this, and I'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. Sounds good.